Hotel family, welcome back to Matthew Daniels TV. You guys see the title. Today, we're going to be talking about the Egyptian afterlife according to Paheri. The Egyptian afterlife according to Paheri. Give me just a second. I'm going to check my visual and I'm going to check my audio and I'm going to make sure that everything is working correctly. And we're going to get into it. We're going to get into the information. This really shouldn't be a long video. I'm just going to read some things for you guys, and we're going to break it down a little bit and explain it. And then we're going to get out of here. So give me just a second. Let me make sure that my video and my audio is working. Out of here. So give me just a second. Okay. The video and the audio is working, so we're going to get off into it. What we're going to be talking about today is how did the Egyptians view the afterlife? Now, one thing that you have to understand is that the conceptualization that the major world religions have today of the afterlife, it comes out of Kemet. It comes out of Egypt. This is where a lot of the ideas about what happens to us when we die were formulated, crystallized, written down, forged into doctrines. Okay. Now, the majority of us don't study ancient Egypt. We don't study ancient Kemet, so we don't know. So what I want to do, instead of telling you guys how the Egyptians saw the afterlife, what did they think the afterlife was like? What did they think they would be doing? Who did they think they would see? How did they envision the afterlife? Thousands of years before any of the current major world religions existed. That's what we're going to look at. Now, as always, I'm going to take you guys to some primary texts. I can tell you what I've studied, in my opinion. I can share with you the opinion of scholars. I can show you what the scholars say, or I can literally show you what the Egyptians said themselves. And I think it's always better to show what the Egyptians said themselves to go to the actual text. So today we're going to be looking at something that's known as the prayers of Paheri. The prayers of Paheri. If you want to Google this on your own, look it up on your own, do some further research, that's what you're going to be looking up. Now, I'm going to be reading from a book that I own called Ancient Egyptian Literature, Volume 2, The New Kingdom. Now, this was translated by an individual named Miriam Litcham. You have Volume 1, Volume 2, and Volume 3. Anybody that's interested in Egypt or interested in Kemet, I suggest you get Ancient Egyptian Literature, Volume 1, Volume 2, and Volume 3. And so we're going to be reading the tomb inscriptions of an individual named Paheri. And we're not going to read through all of the tomb inscriptions. What we're going to focus on is the part of the tomb inscriptions that describe the actual afterlife. So we can see what an ancient Egyptian actually said about the afterlife. And you're going to see where the major religions of today have their foundation. So look, so we know that the tomb of Paheri is found in a city that is known as El Kab. Now, Paheri's career probably began under Thutmose I, Pharaoh Thutmose I, and it may have lasted through the reign of Queen Hatshepsut. He became a scribe of the treasury and also mayor of the towns of Nekheb and Inuit, El Kab, and Esnat, various names of this ancient Egyptian city. The back wall of the main hall of his tomb was given the shape of a round topped stele with a niche in its center. The niche was filled by three seated statues, and the surface of the stele was inscribed in horizontal lines with a text that begins in the rounded top and continues on the right and left sides of the niche. This is a mortuary text consisting of four parts. Part one, the traditional prayer for offerings in a much enlarged version. Part two, an elaborate vision of life in the beyond. Part three, a recital of Paheri's virtuous conduct as an official. And part four, an appeal to the living to recite the prayer for offerings, again, much more elaborate than such appeals had been in the past. So remember, when you're talking about ancient Kemet, they were a nation state, a superpower. They had a government. They had a legal system, a legal code, and they had individuals who were officers of the government who oversaw different cities. So when you see that Paheri was a scribe of the treasury and also mayor of the towns of Nekheb and Inuit, this guy was a government official, a high-ranking government official who was over two towns in ancient Egypt, and he was an individual that was over the treasury. He was a banker. He assessed the taxes that were collected for Pharaoh, etc. Now we're not going to look at everything that was written in this tomb. We're going to look at part two, which is an elaborate vision of life in the beyond, or an elaborate vision of the afterlife. And we're going to examine how Paheri explained what the afterlife was like according to an ancient Egyptian. And this individual lived around 1500 BCE, which would have been 3,500 years ago, thousands of years before any of the current major world religions were formed. Now, on the left, that is a relief from the tomb. You see Paheri. He has a small child sitting on his lap, and he's taking care of him and instructing him. Now, that child is the son of Pharaoh Thutmose I, a pharaoh of the 18th dynasty. So we see that this individual, if he was able to be some type of teacher, authoritative teacher figure to the son of the Pharaoh, who was God on earth, we know that this individual, Paheri, was a super high ranking official. So what he said about the afterlife is what the Egyptians believe. So look what he says. You come in, you go out. Your heart in joy at the praise of the Lord of gods. A good burial after revered old age, after old age has come. You take your place in the Lord of life. You come to earth in the tomb of the west to become indeed a living Ba. It shall thrive on bread, water, and air. So what is he talking about? Look what he says first. You come in, you go Oh, now the ancient Egyptians, when they talked about the place that in modern day we refer to as heaven, a lot of times in the ancient to the west, they're going to say the west. And when they're talking about the west, they're talking about the place of paradise. They're talking about the same place that a Christian is talking, because the whenever you die, not in a physical body, but you would resurrect in a new body, a spirit body, and you would resurrect in the morning after your death. Why? Or after the time of mourning, after the mummification. Why? Because the great god Amun Ra is associated with the sun. And if you anybody that knows anything about the movements of the heavenly bodies, the sun does what? It rises east and sets in the west. We all understand this. You can always cardinal points, north, south, east, and west. Sun rose in the east, it would be being pulled along by the boat of the god Amun Ra. And so it would be headed where? In the direction of the west. So Amun Ra would be pulling the boat of the sun, connected to the sun, his boat of 1,000,000 years, pulling it from the east to the west. And the west is the realm of paradise, the realm of the deified ancestors, those who have lived a life worthy to be worthy to live forever. And so the individual that has died, who resurrects in the morning when the sun is rising, as the sun goes overhead, their bodies would float up, their bodies would ascend to the boat of Ra, and Ra would carry them along with the sun to the west, where they would have their rest. Okay. And I'm not going to get too deep into this, but this is why it's some people that they don't want to hear this, but I always say it. This is why Jesus rose early in the morning on Sunday. And this is also why Jesus was seen to ascend into the clouds before in the presence of his disciples. Jesus was performing an Egyptian resurrection right there in your Bible. But anyway, he says, you come in, you go out. So we see immediately the Egyptian idea of the afterlife is once you get to that state, once you get to heaven, you get to the way, and go as you please. You can even come back to the earth. And in a limited sense, you can interact with the individuals on the earth. An Egyptian really put out offerings. They would bury people with offerings. They would bury the pharaohs with offerings. Why? Not so much for the physical body that has died, but that spirit body can come back. And so when that spirit body comes back, you have a physical apple there, but that physical apple has a dual nature in the spiritual realm. That spirit body can sustain itself about praying and practice ancestral worship. They also have to think that the ancestors exist after death, and they can hear you, and they can interact with you. This is fundamental Egyptian religion that was disseminated throughout the rest of the world. So we see you come in, you go out. So we know in the Egyptian afterlife, once you got there, you could come as you please. You could come back to the earth. You could go back to the west. You could go to another part of the universe if you so please. Look what he says. To become indeed a living Ba, it shall thrive on bread, water, and air. Now, what is he talking about? Now, a Ba is what we know in the English language as the soul. In ancient Kemet, an individual was one of those a Ba. You're going to often see the Ba depicted as a bird with a human head. Look how you look in life, but it has the ability to quote unquote fly. It can go from one place to another. It's not inhibited by time and space. And when it says that it thrives on bread, water, and air, it's not so much as the bread, water, and air that you have on earth, but there is a concept of duality. Everything has two forms. Everything physical has a spiritual counterpart. Bread, physical, but also has a spiritual essence to it or energy behind it. Everything in existence has a spiritual energy that facilitates its ability to exist. And before you say that this is crazy, when you think about, oh, hold on, my computer messing up. I'm gonna stop for just a second. My computer is messing up. Damn. Let me end that. Okay. Okay. It's back. It's back. It's back. Sorry about that. Sorry about that brief interruption. Let me get my screen share back going. I'm watching I'm watching my live on my phone. So I saw it buffering. And when naturally when I saw it buffering, I felt like there was an issue. So let's just get right back to it. Okay. Now, anyway, as I was saying, there is a duality to existence. There is the physical and there is the spiritual. Everything physical has a spiritual component to it, and it is that spiritual component that allows it to actually exist. Give me just a second. Let me make sure. Okay. My screen share. Okay, my screen share is back up. Sorry about that, family. I just had to make sure. Okay, so if you think that's crazy, right? The idea that a spirit being can thrive on bread, water, and air, I want to explain to you that these same concepts are found in the three major religions. Or maybe not so much as Judaism, because a lot of people in Judaism don't even believe in the afterlife, believe it or not. But they do believe that there will be, after you die, they will be resurrected or reincarnated on a new earth. And even like, let's say in Christianity, in the book of Revelations, when it talks about the new heaven and the new earth, and when individuals are resurrected unto life, they are resurrected into the new Jerusalem, an entire city with walls and gates and entrances. There are rivers, there are roads paved with gold, there are buildings made with materials found on earth: sapphire, onyx, beryl, pearl, etc. There are trees, the tree of life, the bread of life, the waters of life. There are trees that one can eat of, waters that one can drink of. The only reason that these concepts are in the Bible is because they are taking their concepts of the afterlife from ancient Egypt. Look, he goes on to say, to assume the form of phoenix, swallow, or falcon or heron as you wish. You cross in the ferry without being hindered. You fare on the waters flowing flood. You come to life a second time, born again. What is he saying? He's saying that in the Egyptian conceptualization of the afterlife, you have the form of a human, but you can take on the form once you have that spirit body, that light body, that ka body. You can assume whatever form you want to interact with the physical world. That's one of the benefits. That's one of the perks of making it to the West. And when they talk about the phoenix, now listen, the phoenix is something that's known in Egypt as the Banu bird. Whenever you hear somebody talk about a phoenix and you see a bird on fire that's associated with great power, it's associated with resurrection. The phoenix mythology comes from Egypt. Anybody that watches Marvel superhero movies and you know about it escapes me, with Xavier, Professor Xavier, Magneto, Wolverine, the mutants, right? The mutants. Those individuals have a mutant known as Jean Grey, who's a mind reader. And in the comic and in the movies, she is killed and she comes back as a phoenix. She's super powerful. She's associated with a fiery bird. And this notion of a phoenix goes back thousands of years. This has been told. This story of a phoenix has been told for thousands of years. But what the phoenix really is, listen to me good. The phoenix is a bird found in Egypt known as the Banu bird. Bennu. You don't believe me? Look it up. Google it. You're going to say, oh, Matthew Daniels is telling the truth. The phoenix myth comes from the Banu bird. And the Banu bird is associated with Asar or Osiris. That's why it's a resurrection bird. If you notice the phoenix itself is only one phoenix at a time. And whenever there's going to be a new phoenix, the old phoenix or the current phoenix has to die. And the new phoenix rises from the ashes of the dead phoenix, which was its predecessor. And that new phoenix becomes the only phoenix at that time. So the phoenix is a resurrection story, which is associated with Asar in ancient Egypt, and the real phoenix is the Banu bird. Now, you can come and go as you please. You can assume any form that you please, and you exist on the same things that you exist of on planet Earth, but you exist on the spiritual aspect of those things, right? Let's look what else she says. Hold on, give me just a second. Give me just a second. We finna read just a little bit more. All right. Look, he says, your ba shall not forsake your corpse. Your ba is divine among the spirits. The worthy bas converse with you. You join them to receive what is given on earth. And all that is referring to is that everyone who receives an afterlife, they get a new body. They're associated as or depicted as a ba. You're able to interact with other individuals, your quote unquote ancestors, those who have gone before you, who have lived a great life. You're divine. You can come back to earth. You can go to wherever your body is buried. Have you ever noticed how when people bury the dead, sometimes they go back to the like, think about it. Somebody may bury their grandmother or their mother or their father or their child. And every year they might go back to that grave site and leave flowers, put a balloon, or put something that that individual cared about in life. Why? Why are they doing that? What is it in their mind that tells them if they go to where their ancestor or their family member is buried and leave something, it will have some type of effect on the individual that has passed away? It goes all the way back to ancient Egyptian religion. That's why the Pharaoh, who was the most powerful, was buried with gold, silver, shop teas, all types of things, bread, meat, water, all types of offerings, because they understood that after an individual died, that spirit could come back. And it would come back to where its corpse is at, its body is at, among other places on planet Earth. And there is like a deep-seated connection with the idea that's in the mind of us today, causes us to go to the grave site of our ancestors and leave food. Because it's whether they understand, their subconscious understands that that comes straight traditions. Look, you thrive on water, you breathe air. This is about the afterlife. You drink as your heart desires. Your eyes are given you to see, your ears to hear what is spoken. Your mouth speaks, your feet walk, your hands, your arms have motion, your flesh is firm, your muscles move. You delight in all your limbs. You count your members, all their sound. There is no fault in what is yours. Your heart is yours in very truth. You have your own, your former heart. Now, I grew up in Christianity, and I remember learning that there was going to be a time when I died, and if I believed in Jesus, I would be resurrected and I would have a new body, a new spirit body that would be just like my earthly body. I would have my head, my neck, my arms, my feet, my fingers, my toes, my knees, my elbows. I would be recreated in a new body. But where do they get that from? Is that really Christianity, or is it something else? Even in Islam, when they talk about an individual going to paradise and having their 70 virgins and living in heaven, is that really Islam? Or is it something else? Did they get it from somewhere else? 1,000 years before anybody else said it. The Egyptians said it. Now, somebody may say, well, the Egyptians, they worship false gods. They didn't know but they didn't know what they were talking about. They were confused. They were lost. Well, why are you copying their rendition of heaven? You see? Because what an individual realizes on planet Earth, when somebody dies, what happens? Their body stops moving. They can't see, they can't hear. Like, you talk to them, they don't respond. You touch them, they can't feel it. The body goes cold. The arms don't move. Their legs don't move. Their mouth don't move. Their eyes don't move. Their toes don't move. All of their limbs is dead. It's just, dead weight. It's a slab of meat, flesh and bones and blood to be decayed. And so what the Egyptians believed about death is that if you lived a life according to Ma'at and you were granted access to the West, then you would be given a new body to where, you can see again, you can speak again, you can hear again. Why is that important? If an individual tells you that after you die, like think about this, after your physical body dies and you're placed in the ground, you're going to see your ancestors, you're going to hug your loved ones, talk to them, be with them, see them, speak with them, touch them, then obviously, whether they say it or not, you're getting new eyes, you're getting new ears, you're getting a new mouth, you're getting new hands. How can you speak to grandma and grandpa if you don't get a new mouth? How can you walk around heaven with them if you don't get new feet? How can you hug them if you don't get new hands and new arms? How can you see them if you don't get new eyes? How does your arms move without new quote unquote muscles or a version of? Right? So if anybody is telling you about going to heaven, seeing people, doing anything, the underlying understanding is you get a new body. That comes right out of Egypt. Look, your eyes are given you to see, your ears to hear what is spoken. You can hear grandma, hey, welcome. I've been so long since I seen you, grandma. It's been so long since I seen you, dad, mom. You think you're going to see your mom and dad again? How are you going to see your mom and dad again without eyes? How are you going to hear them talk to you without ears? Your eyes are given to you to see, your ears to hear what is spoken, your mouth speaks, your feet walk, your hands, your arms have motion, your flesh is firm. I can touch them. Your muscles are smooth. You delight in your limbs. I died. My body is somewhere, my corpse is somewhere decaying, my physical body, but here I am, able to still move and operate and interact with the ancestors. Your heart, your very heart is yours, meaning the essence of who you are. How can you recognize grandma, grandpa, mama, daddy, brother, sister, daughter, son, without understanding who you are? See, you don't understand anyone else unless you have self-awareness. Once you understand that, once you become self-aware, I am me, you understand everyone else is who they are. This is Egyptian. You rise to heaven. You open dot or the duat or the netherworld. You see, I wrote netherworld off in the I forget what that's called, but I wrote netherworld off to the side because that's what dot mean, D-A-T, the dot or the duat. In any shape that you desire. So this is what the Egyptians believed. You could assume any shape. And have you ever, listen, my wife, mother passed away a couple years ago. And she told my wife that if she was ever to come back, she would come back as a butterfly, an orange butterfly. And it's been times along the way, my wife has seen orange butterflies and she knew, that's my mother. Another ancestor of my wife's always said that she would come back as a blue jay bird. And after her passing, it was times in my wife's life, she'll see a blue jay and be like, that's so-and-so. That's grandma. And how many times have you been around people who have seen animals? It could be a cat acting a certain way, a dog acting a certain way, a bird, a squirrel, a butterfly, a bee. acting a certain way, and someone who has lost someone close to them would connect with that animal and be like, I don't know why, but I feel like that's so and so. Because you can come back in any shape that you desire once you make it to the other side. You are summoned daily to Winnefer's altar. Now, that's a sort. You receive the bread that comes before him, the offering to the Lord of the sacred land, for the Ka of the mayor of Nekheb, the mayor of Inuit, who counts the grain from Inuit to Nekheb. That's all talking about Paheri. The watchful leader, free of fault, the scribe Paheri, the justified. What else does he say? You eat the bread beside the God. You actually get to live and exist with the gods, with the Neteru. This is the Egyptian heaven. At the great terrace of the Enid's Lord. Now, the Enneads, I said Enid's, but it's the Enneads. That is a group, a divine council of 8 different Neterus who preside over whether or not you deserve to get an afterlife. Look, you turn from there to where he is. In the midst of the leading council, you turn to Asar. He is the ruler of the afterlife. You walk among them. You consort with the Horus servants or the servants of Heru. You go up, you go down, unhindered. You are not turned back at the gate of Dot or the underworld. The portals of Lightland or the west or heaven open for you. The boats slide back of themselves. You reach the hall of the two truths. The God who is in it welcomes you. Right? What else does he say? You settle down in the netherworld. You stride about in the city of Hapi. Your heart rejoices as you plow in your plot in the field of reeds. Now let's look at that. You stride about in the city. Now, it was something that I always read about in the Bible. In the book of Revelations, they talked about in the end of days that there will be a new city, a heavenly city, a holy city called New Jerusalem coming down from heaven to the new earth where Jesus and Yahweh will reign on earth with man. And then when I began to study ancient Kemet, and I saw that they thousands of years. Listen, what I'm reading to you now, where it says you stride about in the city of Hapi, this is the afterlife. They're saying in the afterlife, you will be able to stride about in some city. In some city. And when they say in the city of Hapi, Hapi is the Nile River. So they're talking about a city along the Nile. Listen to me good when I say this. Kemet is the nation, and they're saying that you're going to be able to stride about in the city of Hapi, a city along the Nile, some type of heavenly, holy, spiritual city that the physical men and women are not in. As your heart rejoices, you plow. You will be able to plow in the fields, get harvest, interact with other people. You will have a new body, right? This is what they're describing. And so I think back to when I was a Christian, and I think about the New Jerusalem, the new city, the holy city, the New Jerusalem coming out of heaven, descending upon earth, and individuals being able to walk around this city and eat from trees and drink from rivers and plow and live. And I think of the similarities, right? In which you have the Jerusalem is the holy city or the capital of the country or nation of Israel. So you have a nation of Israel, you have a special city called Jerusalem, And you have a new rendition or holy version of this that's a heavenly city where the heavenly people will dwell and walk around in with their ancestors and with the gods, Jesus and Yahweh. And then when I look into the ancient Egyptian religion, I see that, damn, wait a minute. Thousands of years before John allegedly wrote that on the Isle of Patmos, because they say the book of Revelations was written by John on the Isles of Patmos. This was written in 1500 BCE. Revelations was written in around 90 CE. So we're talking about 1,600 years later. Revelations come along. The book of Revelation come along. And you mean to tell me over 1,600 years before that, and even older, because Paheri didn't make this up, but just we're looking at the documentation. They already talked about a holy city of Egypt where the resurrected saints and holy men and people who gained everlasting life would be. A holy city in the nation of Egypt. Then John the Revelator talks about a holy city in the nation of Israel. Come on, man. And bro, listen, at some point, you have to accept what's right before your very eyes. Even if you don't understand it yet, you have to accept what's right before your very eyes. Look, you are rewarded with what you have grown. You gather a harvest rich in grain. The rope is roped for you in the ferry. You sail as your heart desires. You go outdoors each morning. Stop. What do you mean you go outdoors? They be like, oh, those Egyptians are so crazy. Well, if they were crazy, why did the Bible steal it? In my father's house, there are many mansions. I know you heard that. In my father's house, there are many mansions. If it was not so, I would have told you. So, in one of the major religions of the world today, in their heaven, there's mansions. What do we know about a mansion? It's a place to live and dwell. Now, we can play semantics with the Greek all we want. Oh, the Greek word actually means this. And the Greek word actually means that. I don't want to play those games. Because I know not only does it say that in my father's house there are many mansions, it talks about 12 gates. Each gate has the name of one of the 12 tribes of Israel. And the Bible says that outside those gates, there is gnashing and wailing gnashing of teeth and wailing. And all the individuals, the backbiters, the liars, the adulterers, the murderers, the homosexuals, they are all outside the gates. So there is an outdoors. You go outdoors each morning. You return each evening. You can go as you please. Individuals, sometimes you ever thought about, oh man, like this real talk. Have you ever thought that you were sitting inside your house and you saw something out the corner of your eye, or you saw something walking down the hallway, or something happened in your life and you knew that was grandma. You knew that was grandpa. You knew that was your mother. You knew that was your father. Nobody can tell you any different. You knew it. Well, let me ask you something. If your mama, daddy, grandmama, grandpapa, father, son, if they passed away, but an event happened on planet Earth and you are 100% convinced that they were there, even after their death, they were there, then it's true that that individual in the afterlife can come and go as they please. They can come back to Earth. They can go back to the West. they can come back to earth, they can go back to the west. It must be true. Or you didn't see what you thought you saw. You didn't feel what you thought you felt. You were driving down the street, you almost got into a major wreck that would have killed you, but just at the last minute. And then sometimes we explain a spiritual experience with the language that we know. And so you may be driving down the street, almost get into a wreck and swerve to the right. Okay. And an individual who has only learned about Christianity is going to say, man, Jesus saved me. An individual that has only learned about Islam is going to say, Allah saved me. An individual that has only learned Judaism is going to say what? Yahweh saved me. They're going to attribute their spiritual experience to whatever deity they have been taught, whatever spiritual power they have been taught to attribute it to. It's like language. If all I know is English and you take me to the ocean and say, what is that? I'm going to say water. And you can say, no, it's agua. And I'm going to say, agua, ain't no damn agua. It's water. You can say, it's agua. No, it's water. It's agua. No, it's water. It's H2O. No, it's water. Because the only thing I know is what I've been taught to call it. So sometimes we have a spiritual experience and we only can describe it in the language that we have been given. It could be grandma. You say it's Jesus. It could be grandpa. You say it's Jesus. It could be mama. You say it's Allah. It could be daddy. You say it's Buddha. Right? It could be your best friend who passed away. And what do you say? Oh, it was Yahweh. Because that's anything spiritual, this is the name that you put on it. But then when you say, well, okay, when you almost had that car accident and you felt something help you swerve out the way, did that entity say, by the way, my name is Jesus. By the way, my name is Yahweh. By the way, my name is Allah. You be like, well, no, it didn't say my name is Allah, but it had to be Allah because Allah is the only one out there. You see, it doesn't introduce itself. You label it based off what you heard, based off what you were taught. You see? But the quote unquote ancestor worship goes back longer than anything. It could have very well just been an ancestor. Look, the torch is lit for you at night until the sun shines on your breast. One says to you, welcome, welcome, in this your house of the living. You see Ray in heaven's light land. You watch Amun as he dawns. You waken gladly every day. All afflictions are expelled. Stop. All afflictions are expelled. There's no more sickness. There's no more pain. There's no more tears. There's no more stress. There's no more death. There's no more depression. All of the negative emotions and feelings that come along with being in this physical body, we have always been taught that those things don't exist in the quote unquote heaven. Why is the Egyptians teaching this thousands of years before anybody else said it? And if the Egyptians are wrong, why are you repeating what they already said? All afflictions are expelled. You traverse eternity in joy. It's nothing but joy, pleasure, happiness. All tears are wiped away. See, these teachings have been repackaged for us, and other labels have been slapped on them. but these teachings come from somewhere else. In the favor of the God who is in you. The kingdom of heaven is in you. They'll take the Holy Spirit is in you. Jesus lives in you. But the Egyptians already said the favor of the God who is in you. It's in you. Your heart is with you without failing you. Your provisions remain in their place for the Ka, the spirit, the Ka of the scribe Paheri, the justified. So we see in the Egyptian afterlife, you can come and go as you please. You have a new body, which is very much like your earthly body, but you have a new body that can transform into anything you wish. And I want you guys, the next time you hear somebody or you yourself see some type of, it's a, you see a bird, an owl, or a squirrel, or a blue jay, or a woodpecker, or anything like that, and you just get that overwhelming feeling that that's one of your ancestors. That's what the Egyptians taught. You could come back like that. Were the Egyptians correct? That's what I want you to think about. You don't have to accept that they were correct. But what I want you to think about is, were they correct? Is what they're saying so far-fetched? And is what they're saying repeated by these other religions? Did these other religions come with some new idea? Or did they repackage something that existed before it? For the Ka of the scribe Paheri, the justified. Right? So, like I say, this wasn't going to just be too long of a video, but I wanted to show you guys, and we didn't look at the entire prayers of Paheri. We didn't look at everything that was written down in this tomb, but we wanted to look at what he said about the afterlife, how he described it. He described it as an actual place. In some instances, he referred to it as a city of Hapi, as in like a holy city of the land of Egypt, like a spiritual version of that. He said that you could plow their animals in the Egyptian heaven. You know, sometimes people, you wonder, do animals go to heaven? Well, in the Egyptian heaven, yes. Yes. Because every physical thing in existence has a spiritual counterpart, rather. It's duality. It's a duality. Everything comes in twos. The physical, the spiritual, the physical, the spiritual, the physical, the spiritual. Everything. Everything. It's an actual place that could be referred to as a city that has water, clothes, people, hearts, consciousness. You can come and go as you please. You can transform into different earthly beings and go about. You can go anywhere in the universe that you want to go. And the ultimate is you could also be reincarnated on planet Earth. You can be born again on planet Earth. That's an option. See, some of us, we chose to come to planet Earth and we don't know it. We forgot. Some of us, and you may be listening to me right now, chose to come to planet Earth. You wonder, why was I born where I was born? Why is this happening to me? Why am I going through this? Because you chose it. You wanted it to happen. You were in paradise. And see, the thing about paradise is there. See, when people talk about eternity, right? Try not to imagine what eternity is, because there's really no imagining eternity while you're locked into a construct of time. But what you can imagine is that it's like a place where time doesn't exist. It's so much time can elapse that you're not even aware of it anymore, right? And in that type of scenario, I don't want to say you get bored, but just experience. Time doesn't elapse, but experience happen. Things happen. You can go here, you can go there, but it's not, it took you 30 minutes to do that because there is no concept of time. You just did this, you did that, and you're doing things for all eternity. And at some point, you decided that, you know what, with some of this quote unquote eternal time, I want to, I want to go back to earth for, 60, 70, 80 earth years just to experience it. And you come to earth. But the thing is, you can't, it's an Egyptian story about the Eye of Ra. I'm gonna tell you guys this story and then I'm gonna let you go. There's an Egyptian story about the Eye of Ra, right? So Ra, the great god Amun-Ra, he created everything in existence. And then he wanted to experience creation for himself. The great god Amun-Ra wanted to have a physical experience. So he sent his eye into the realm of physicality. His eye was born into the realm of physicality and was born with a physical body, physical heart, physical arms, physical legs on physical planet Earth. Now, it was only his eye because the totality of God cannot exist inside of creation. Only a part of him can. So while Amun-Ra existed outside of creation, he sent his eye into creation to experience it. And so his eye went about experiencing creation. Now, the kicker is, in order for the eye of Ra to experience creation, the eye of Ra had to forget that it was Ra, right? Because a fundamental aspect of life, you have to have self-awareness. The only way this works is if I understand that I'm Matthew Daniels and you are you. Even in a dream, think about it. In a dream, if you ever had a nightmare and you were chased by a murderer or a scary character in your dream. Now, your dream is a creation of your mind. Really, everybody in the dream is you because it's your mind, right? But in the dream, there is another you who is psychologically separated from the monster or the killer. And you are afraid of the monster or the killer because you have forgotten that really you're the killer. You're you. You're the car. You're the street. You're the sky. You're the water. You're the house. You're everything that's in the dream because the dream is in your mind. But you can run from something. You can fight someone. You can have a dream and your wife is cheating on you. But in the dream, technically, you're you, you're your wife, you're your husband, you're even the person that they're cheating with. Right? But in order for it to feel real, the dream version of you has to forget that it's really everything in the dream. It's even the ground that it's walking on. So in reality, the Eye of Ra had to forget that it was Ra, the creator of everything, in order to have a I experience. I am me. You are you. When technically we're all the same thing. So the Eye of Ra goes about in creation, and over time, the Eye of Ra so thoroughly forgets that it's Amun-Ra that it gets lost in reality, or what we know as reality or physicality. of the earth. The eye of Ra gets lost. And so the gods, Amun Ra, Tahuti, Asar, Aset, the gods are like, damn, he's in too deep. He went so far undercover that he's forgotten he's a cop. He really thinks he's a dope dealer now. He really believes he's a dope dealer. He's in too deep. So Tahuti, the god thought, the writer of what they call the Emerald Tablets, had to come to Earth, find the Eye of Ra, give the Eye of Ra certain bits of information to what? Remind the Eye of Ra that he was the Eye of Ra. And when he reminded the Eye of Ra that he was the Eye of Ra, it was like, oh, the mind unlocked, the matrix is broken, and the Eye of Ra was able to transcend existence and return to God from which it came. Now, the idea behind that is every one of us, we are the Eye of Ra. We literally are the same, just like in the dream. But in order for me to experience planet Earth, I have to have an I am experience. I have to look at, oh, I'm Matthew Daniels, you are you. That's the only way this thing works. But what happens is we get so immersed in the I am that we totally forget that we're connected in any type of way to anybody else, and all sorts of negative things come. Jealousy, envy, covetousness, murder, crime. We start violating people, not knowing that we're really violating ourselves because we don't see them as ourselves anymore. We get in too deep. And so the analogy is that Tahuti has to come, which is wisdom, knowledge, understanding. That has to come and remind you, hey, listen, you're really connected to all of creation. Bro, you doing all this stuff and you're really doing it to yourself. You think you pimping HOEs, 304s, you really pimping yourself. You think you murdering the ops, you really murdering yourself. You think you taking advantage of the food, you really taking advantage of yourself. And so when the wisdom and knowledge comes that you are more than this physical existence, some of us wake up and you know what? Wow, I am God. I am connected to the creator of all. Not I'm in Ra, I'm the Eye of Ra. I'm a portion of the creator. And we remember and we begin to live a life of harmony, balance, justice, righteousness, reciprocity. We begin to live a life according to and in line with Ma'at, because we know you are me and I am you. We wake up. When they talk about wake up, why do people talk about you have to wake up? Some people are woke. They wake up. Because, listen, that goes back to ancient Egypt. The Eye of Ra went to sleep, and Tahuti thought had to wake it up to who it really was. These are echoes of the ancient Egyptian religion that we forgot about. This is where it comes from. So anyway, the prayers of Paheri, circa 1500 BCE, these are the conceptualizations of the Egyptian afterlife. I'll probably be doing a video in a few days or maybe a month, who knows, whenever. But I'll be doing a video where I'll go deeper into the Egyptian conceptualization of the afterlife. I'll actually show you guys what some scholars say about it. Excuse me. But I really wanted to show you guys what an Egyptian had to say about it himself. So when we look at what the scholars say, we can compare what the scholars say to what the Egyptians say. Because at the end of the day, the Egyptians are the ultimate authority. And when you look at what the Egyptians say, the more you read the literature, the more you're going to realize that um, someone, multiple someones, repackaged Egyptian religion, stamped another name on it, and gave it to us. They repackaged, and this was hard for me to accept. With my father being a preacher, growing up in church, you know, always standing on the Bible as the word of God. This was hard for me to accept, you know, very, very hard for me to accept that someone, multiple someones, had repackaged ancient Egyptian religion. They repackaged it, stamped another name on it, and gave it to me. You know, and when I first woke up to that realization, I wasn't sure what to do with it. Because okay, well, if I don't believe this no more, what do I believe? You know, and to anybody wondering that, I say, listen, you be a good person. You study, you learn what you can, but the ultimate thing about life is to be a good person. You know how to be a good person. Even if a person says, well, no, there's no ultimate morality. We need, no, you don't. You know how to be a good person. When you're doing wrong, you know you're doing wrong. Even if you do it, come on, you know. You know. You know. I know. You know. And then on top of that, be a good person, but also every human being that's born, you have some type of desire that's just on your heart that you can't explain where it came from. It don't come from your mama. It don't come from your daddy. It don't come from school, movies, books, TV shows, experience, nothing. It's just a innate drive that you have. Me, it's writing books. I figured it out for me, and I just try to help other people figure out. It's writing books. When I was in the realm of the ancestors, and I made the conscious decision to come back to planet Earth and live again, I wanted to come live the best life that I could and write something that would last forever. I know it. I know I wanted to write. So that's what I do, and my heart is fulfilled. Follow your heart. In Egyptian religion, they say you follow your heart. You follow your heart. You follow your heart. What do you want to do? Do it, man. Do it. It's so simple, family. It's so simple. Be good, be kind, be loving, be considerate, and follow your heart. It's just that simple. The ancient Egyptian afterlife, according to Paheri. As always, I hope you guys heard something that you never heard before. If you heard something that you heard before, I hope I was able to put a little more context to it. But it's real. It's real, family. And we're going to be diving into this a little bit more. As always, may your name live on forever, and may your memory never die. This your brother Matthew Daniels, aka I'm Pooh, aka the Chosen Few, aka the Real Bookworm. I'm not just a bookworm world. I am the real bookworm, reincarnated scribe. I'm out. Hotel.